to necessitate the beastly act of war. This is another aspect of the enigma of human nature. And we are capable of solving it any moment. But we are not very ready to solve it simply because we do not wish to solve it. Can you find out a greater enigma anywhere in the world? Another aspect, another example I will show you. The occasions when we feel sorry are all good examples of our enigma. Suppose I lose a huge amount of money during my journey. As a human being, it is my privilege to feel sorry for it. And I have the great privilege of not sleeping that night and spoiling my sleep in a scientific way, thinking of the lost amount of money. I have the common sense enough to know that it is lost once for all, yet I do not stop weeping for it because I wish to weep for it. This is another example of human enigma. Not that we do not know these things. Our common sense is enough and more than enough to know all these things very easily. But yet we have a peculiar desire to make ourselves suffer for the simple pride of making life eventful. And if you excuse me, I will give you another example. The animals eat according to taste, according to need. When the need is satiated, the animal stops eating. You can't recommend some more food to the animal at any cost or under any obligation. But the case is different with the human being. Generally, we forget to eat according to the need. We take pleasure in eating according to taste. The result is we have to eat medicines also the next day. It is a simple fact which we know easily, but often we don't stop doing it because we want to be something different from the other beings. Another philosophical and glorious example. The animals always live in the present. If you give a blow to the animal, the next day if you give a biscuit to the same animal, it comes to you and takes the biscuit. What happens if you do the same thing with a human being? The next day if you show a biscuit to the human being, he will come to us and give 2 blows. So impressions live through time to the human animal. Through time. We wish to retain impressions. The result is often we live in the past, in the recollections of our achievements, of our great achievements in the past. If I find a friend in Geneva today, I go to India and speak of my journey to Geneva for 10 years to come, instead of writing a letter to my friend in time. My good response to the friend is not so very important, but to remember the fact that I am honored somewhere by somebody in Geneva is very important for me to narrate. We take pride in living in the past. If you ask me something about India, I can narrate you the glory and the greatness of India in the past and speak to you as if it belongs to me and myself. Same thing with the citizen of any nationality, and we call it national spirit and patriotism, which is only a false pride. If at all any national spirit exists in us in its true sense, acted accordingly and contributed to the nation something solid. But often we do not want to do it. Therefore, we speak of the glory of the past and call it by the false name patriotism. But it is a direct proof of our anti-patriotic nature. Because if anyone asks us, what have you contributed to your nation? The answer is nothing but wasting time in recollections of the past.
Sauf perdre du temps dans le rappel du passé.
I spend much time in thinking about my past glories, or I wish to feel the sorrow of being insulted by some enemy in the past. Being insulted. Similarly, we try to live in the future. Instead of living in the present, we try to live in the future. Often we hear questions. What is your idea about life after death? It is a glorious nonsense which is nothing but against common sense. That we indulge in the spiritual falsifications of such ideas. Because life before death is what is true. And we have many things to do before death. And when we have not made a proper finish of those things, when we have not discharged our duties to the brotherhood at present, is it not spiritual laziness to think of the life after death? It is only a nice desire to escape from the present duties of our life. But we give more importance to our speculations about life after death. Not that we do not know that it is all false, but that we wish to do so. Because we know many costly books written about the life after death. Sometimes with the photographs of our life after death. We know photographers who have taken the photographs of persons after they are dead. We find beautiful rainbow-like pictures in books. They explain it as astral body or etheric body, or some call it aura. And we have many intellectual nonsensical things like this. Just as the scientific world has its own nonsensical things. Instead of doing something useful to mankind, the scientific world is burning millions and millions of dollars to find what is there in Moon, Mars, Jupiter, etc. Excuse me if I remark like this, but if at all you have an answer, you can satisfy me with the answer. I will be your first disciple. So, these are all the examples of the human enigma. The cause of all these enigmas is the existence of our lower self and our higher self. Often we live in our lower self because we are not conscious of the existence of our higher self. This is because our elders have failed to point out this to us, and this is because our parents and our professors have nothing to give us, and we have nothing to imitate from them for the past 2 generations. The result is our children have nothing to imitate from us or copy from us, and we see that everyone on the street lives like an orphan, having no sense of protection, having no hope of solace, and there is no hope of a fellow man, a companion in life. The result is the husband is not the companion of the wife, and wife is not the life companion of the husband. Father is not a companion of the son. Son is not the companion of the father. A friend is not a companion of his friend. And this is the fate we have worked out for ourselves. Life is commercialized, and we are directly responsible for it. This is because of our ignorance of the existence of our higher self. Our lower self includes our mind and senses. It's only a machine without any person, and the actual person lives higher than the mind and the senses. When we know the art of getting our awareness absorbed into the true existence, when we grow conscious of our higher nature, when we know the infallibility or the creative capabilities of ourselves, and when we know the scientific use of our capabilities, then the riddle will be solved. The solution does not exist with us in this century at all. It was existing in the past races and nations, and we made ourselves blind with our pride to go into the books of the past nations. There are the world scriptures available to us, translated according to our own ignorance and our own limitations. But even then, there are passages from the world scriptures that give us clues to know, that give us the clues to know the science of life and the practical application of that science. and The Art of Living. These books contain the solution. The books which we call the world scriptures, that is the Old Testament and the four Gospels, the Bhagavad Gita and the Dharmachakra of Gautama Buddha, the writings of Confucius, the writings of Shankaracharya, Ramanujacharya. All these books, we know that we do not care to go into them, care to look into them. We do not care to look into them. This is because we have no faith in the past. We have sometimes veneration for the past, but we have no faith in the past. And we have the complex that we know more than the people of the past. That is what every son thinks about his own father. After a certain age, the son thinks that his father was uncivilized. And the result is his son thinks about this fellow in the same terms. The scriptures contain the solution. And the 21st century will have the solution. Because they have nothing to imitate from us, luckily. Their common sense does not permit to imitate the wars and the beastly acts we do, and the excesses and ill-balanced behavior towards food and sex. So they are no more going to follow us. There is going to be a big gap between our generation and the next generation. And in that way, the next generations are very, very lucky. And the result is, towards the middle of the 21st century, the professors of the universities and the students will have the holy subject, the science of man and the art of living. They read the history of the 20th century human being and laugh among themselves that there was a being whose life was an enigma. And the poor fellow was not able to solve the enigma because he accepted defeat with money and sex. So it is a defeated nation and a defeated generation that such a generation lived in the 20th century. The professors teach the students and the students learn it. But we are also privileged as human beings to learn it in advance and become adepts in the science and art so that we may be fit to serve our sons and grandsons. A few hints about the solution are, according to the scriptures, self-awareness of a continuous nature. That is, we should be aware of our own capabilities and we should not identify ourselves with the environment. That is the first injunction. And the second item is, grow passive to the environment. The third is, don't care for what others think about you. Care only for what others want from you. Don't be a slave of other people's thoughts and suppositions about you, but be rich as a giver of what others want from you. That means try to know what others want from you, what others want from you. Don't have the weakness to know what others think about you. The next injunction is, honor life in any form and do not kill except for eating. Forgive wherever there is a fault. Forgiving not psychologically, but with the heart. Because if we forgive psychologically only, we undergo great tension for every fault of others. And we begin to forgive only vocally, and we smile away vocally, and we cannot forgive mentally. The result is great hypertension and thrombosis, insomnia, and all types of dirty drugs. Drugs, medicine. So, learn to forgive a fault with the heart. When you forgive, you should feel relaxed. You should feel the joy and benefit of forgiving others and not the tension of forgiving others. Next item is moderation. Moderation in food, drink, work and sex. Do not starve yourself or torture yourself by not eating, not drinking, but do not overeat and overdrink. Of course, these are too simple to be forgotten and overlooked. But unfortunately, they are only truths, and they are the only truths that should be followed. Another injunction is, distinguish between need and desire. Needs belong to your body, and desires belong to your mind. Desires can never be fulfilled. They lead us to sorrow. needs are to be immediately fulfilled. Care more for life before death than the life after death. And finally, do what is expected of you to the world. These are a few eternal truths which we cannot deny with any amount of intellect and which can save us when followed. And knowledge has no value because it cannot save us. So when we begin to follow these injunctions, once again we will be saved. And the rare creative faculty of the human being will be proved once again. The power of your creative mind will be once again proved to the world. I wish it happens to us all. Thank you all once. That each of us belong to a different degree of evolution, and we work out the individual enigma according to our degree of evolution, and we solve it also according to our degree of evolution. And the one common denominator is, irrespective of our degree of evolution, the moment we hit at the creative faculty in ourselves, we solve every riddle of our individual nature, enigma, and we stand independent of our enigma. That capability is bestowed upon us all equally by nature. Thus, that capability is bestowed upon us all equally. It has nothing to do with the degree of our evolution. The only thing is, someone should know how to touch and stimulate the creative faculty in us. The subject of human magnetism should be known by some master. And the art of converting the iron piece into a magnet is possible in the hands of a master, and it requires no degree of evolution or no seniority in the evolution list. We can conclude nature has offered us a common denominator in progressive aspects only, and not the enigmas. That is the love of nature towards us. I understand. Yes. Our attitude includes some convenience and some inconvenience, and all that which creates inconvenience to us through our ignorance. Because our reflexes, when not conditioned, they work for our protection only, because they are never under our control. They are supra-conscious, and they are not at all subconscious as modern psychology believes. They are protecting us at any rate. And when we do not tamper them and condition them, the reflexes that exist about us are always progressive in their nature, and they help us in protecting ourselves. So, whatever there is in our behavior which is inconvenient to us does not at all belong to the reflexes or instincts. It belongs to the cultured and the cultivated taste of the creative faculty. Cultured, habituated and cultivated faculty of the creative power, wrongly used by our ignorance. You mean human enigma?
Yes.
The capacity to produce the enigma exists with the human birth, because nature has blessed us with the creative faculty. I told you in the beginning itself that our creative faculty can create anything for us. That's why it is also capable of creating an enigma. And our inexperience to use the creative faculty and the suddenness of the independence that is given to the human birth immediately after we left the animal kingdom bewilders us, and we are sure to produce enigma and solve it. That is the truth of it. Pardon? Yes, need for work. Yes. If
Which is not a need.
Yes. If what we do is useful to ourselves or others, in the sense it provides the needs of either ourselves or others, then It is the real activity. All the rest of our activity is only to create enigma and solve it. When once it becomes a habit, react to the habitual way of doing it. That's the reason why the primitive humanity had no problems which we have. So the direct test to know if a work is needed or not is see if it produces something that provides the needs of either ourselves or others. If the answer is yes, it is the work needed. If the answer is no, it is something produced by our own nature of enigma. We can have this as our measuring rod. Have this as our measuring rod.